In October of last year, I was making a lot of videos about my family, and not all of them are great. And my sister, Wendy, who's like the smartest person I know, she's a midwife, she is brilliant. She had a baby young, she went back to school, she had more kids, she went back to school again. It's like the Brady Bunch up in her house, except her and her husband have been together since high school. Excuse me? Okay. But she said, Freddie, why are you letting your dirty laundry, why are you hanging your dirty laundry out to dry? And I said, Wendy, I was like, my washer broke and my dryer isn't working. And she said, no, Freddie, why do you keep talking about the family? You're so much smarter than that, and you're hilarious. The world is your oyster. You can make everything funny. Why do you keep talking about the family? And that's when I thought, this go around when I'm gonna make videos and I'm gonna tell things about my life, there's more to me than just my family. I had a whole Air Force career. I've had relationships outside of my family. So today, I'm putting somebody on blast. Don't make me say it, and it's not a family member. But I've changed the names of the people in this story to protect their identities. Bum bum. In the summer of 2016, my best friend Alex, everybody knows Ferg, he got deployed to Qatar. I was living by myself during that time because we were roommates. During that time, I got lonely. I noticed on Facebook, though, that there was this guy. He requested for me to be friends. His name was Flankston. And he was like, oh my God, we should hang out. Oh my God, we should hang out. Why aren't we hanging out? He did not know this, but I was going through a mental health crisis at the time. It started before Alex deployed to Qatar. But because of that deployment, I started developing agoraphobia tendencies. I would take leave from work just to stay at home. I had a fear of driving. A lot was going on. I was shitting 15 to 20 times a day. And of course, I didn't want to hang out with Flankston all the day. Like, I couldn't leave the house. But I gave this person one chance, and I went to his apartment, and we had tacos, we went swimming. Begrudgingly, I watched the first episode of Game of Thrones, and we got to the second episode, and I was like, maybe incest is not best. I did not get into Game of Thrones at all, but I watched 2 episodes for him. So, anyway, he was like, when I got there, he was like, don't go into the bedroom. And I was like, I just came over to watch Game of Thrones and eat tacos. Like, I'm not expecting anything else to happen. And also, why can't we just get Randy on the couch? But he kept saying, like, don't go in the bedroom. Don't go. I was like, oh my God. Okay. Like, are you hiding a dead body in there? Oh my God. Let me get to this in a second. So he wants to show me something on his laptop, and he opens it up, and a name's on the screen. And the name on the screen is, let me think of a name for identity purposes. Schlint. Schlint is on the computer. And I was like, oh my God, who's Schlint? And he's like, oh, that's my brother. It was not his brother. It was his husband that was living in Arkansas. Okay? So, my guess now is that the reason he didn't want me to go into the bedroom was there was a whole bunch of Schlint stuff in there. I wouldn't put my brother's stuff in my bedroom. It was his husband's stuff. So, months go by. This guy becomes my ride or die. Flankston. We're going to Buffalo Wild Wings. We're going on like dates. We're hanging out. I meet his best friends. The Bible says, I mean, we get all you can eat shrimp. I have everybody cracking up at the dinner table. Schlandon spits a shrimp out of his mouth and water. Like, I have everybody rolling. We're having a good time. I go to Thanksgiving at his best friend at his apartment complex's house. I mean, I'm meeting everybody in his life outside of his family because his family lived far away. But like everybody in his inner circle at Barksdale, I was part of that group too. Still to this day, Facebook friends, good friends with his, Greg doesn't care. Hi, Greg. Good friends with his friend, Greg. But, so, months go by. And you know, when you're best friends with somebody, you're in maybe a little bit like a fuck with buddy relationship, you're tagging them and things all the time on Facebook. So we're tagging. I get a DM from this guy named Flint. Flint, remember the guy from the computer? Flint, his brother? And he was like, who are you? And I was like, who are you? And he was like, I'm Schlandon's husband. And I was like, oh my God, what? I have to tell you, I felt so disgusting. I felt so dirty because if you know me, you know I don't do that. If you really know me, you know I can count my sex partners as much as I talk about sex and stuff. I can count on one hand how many sex partners I've had in my life. And when it comes to me and Flankston and I, blowy, handy. But when we got together, especially on the weekends, we would drink, and he's a really, like, crazy lightweight. So it would get to the point to where, oh, I could definitely have made something happen, but I can't just have sex with people when they're incapacitated in such a capacity. I would have felt really bad about doing that. Like, I would have liked for both of us to consent. So there was just a lot of handies, blowies making out, just making out when he was drunk. So, come to find out, I confront him about this. He finds out I know. We don't talk for an extended period of time. I get messy. I get really messy because my feelings are hurt. I go up to Arkansas, and I meet with Flint. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I find out Flint is in medical school. I find out that Flint and Schmlandon have separated. They live in different areas because their marriage just wasn't working out, but they were still legally married, okay? So I go up to Arkansas just to figure out what the fuck's going on. The entire time I'm up there, Flint is trying to he's trying to fuck me. Like, to this day, 10 years later, he tries to pursue me. He's like a bird, like, flapping his colors, like, trying to hunt me in the wild. And I'm like, I don't care that you're a doctor. I don't care that you live in the Ozarks. I don't care. Like, I really don't want you in such a capacity. I don't want to be in a relationship with you. My bills are paid. I don't want that. That's disgusting. And it took me a minute, but also, the fuck did you put my best friend through at the time? Seriously? Like, he really fucked up Flankston a lot. He fucked up Flankston mentally a lot because he's like a fucking sociopath. Seriously. And Flankston put me through a lot, lying to me for such a long period of time. I mean, he's probably one of the reasons why my brain went so haywire as it did. But I can't blame him for all of it because a lot of it's biological. And then your environment, some of it. But I don't blame Flankston nearly as much as I did 8, 9, 10 years ago. I don't. But because Flankston was my friend, and I knew because he was still in love with his ex-husband, I was like, I can still be just friends with this guy. So we would still go to Buffalo Wild Wings, we would still watch football. But tell me how sad this is. On Christmas Eve, most people would watch maybe Christmas movies, most people would open presents, most people would just maybe drink eggnog or hot chocolate. He was still madly in love with his ex-husband that didn't want him anymore, and I don't know why, like, to this day, because there's two sides to every story. But because Flankston was my best friend at the time, he pulled up old text messages on my television, and we, like, went through them, and Flankston was like, how did I lose this? I just want this back, and I don't know how to get it back. And as a person that kind of got feelings for Flankston, spent so much time with Flankston, went to New Orleans with Flankston, went to Dallas with Flankston, went to Buffalo Wild Wings every Sunday to watch the Broncos play football with Flankston, met his best friends Flankston, spent the holidays with Flankston. I'm over here like having to do 180 in my brain. I was like, okay, there's no boyfriend, there's no relationship, but you can be a good person to this guy. You can be a shoulder for him to lean on, nothing more. And I thought I did a good job until it got to Mardi Gras time. And I don't know what was going on with Flankston, if he just felt like a victim to his circumstances, but he told Greg that I was destroying his marriage with his husband. But his marriage was already getting destroyed because they separated well before I was even in the picture. So in Mardi Gras of 2017, so February 2017, I confronted him at Greg's Mardi Gras party, and he drove off in his BMW, and we didn't talk for the longest time. Like, we didn't talk for 3 years until ... I met a girl named Chrissy at my apartment complex, and Flankston and I still lived at that same apartment complex, just in different buildings. And I gave Flankston like an evil stare, and Chrissy was like, why did you just give that guy the death stare? And I was like, it's a long story, I don't even want to get into it. And she was like, well, I have all day. So I was like, fine, Chrissy, pour me another margarita. So she did. So I told her the whole story. Well, lo and behold, and behind my back, I did not ask Chrissy to do this. I was over it times 10, 50 bazillion over it. Chrissy confronts Flankston behind my back and says, how could you ever treat anybody like that, especially Freddie? Freddie is the coolest guy I know. He's so cool. He watches my kids for me while I'm working, blah, 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 blah. He'll like take them to the pool. He's so nice to me. How could you ever do this to a person? Chrissy tells me what she did. A couple weeks go by. I'm outside my apartment smoking a cigarette. Flankston shows up, apologizes for everything. Like everything. Flankston apologized, okay? Apologized so much so that he told me that he was going on like a 2-day trip to a beach in the panhandle of Florida. And then I was like, oh my God, that sounds so much fun. You should take me with you. And I was like half kidding. He was like, I don't care if you go. I was like, okay. Long story short, that was the most awkward 2-day trip ever. Because remember, we hadn't talked in like a couple years, maybe 3 at that point. So there wasn't much talking going on, and I wasn't expecting much, but like a little bit of conversation. And I didn't know going in that he was gonna be meeting some of his friends there, and he wasn't really good at introducing me to people. And you talk about a tough crowd. It was like I was speaking to nothing. Like, it was really awkward, and I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't like when I met his friend, the Bible says, for the first time, or Greg, or I went to Tiffany's house for Thanksgiving. It wasn't anything like that. I didn't know who these people were. He's almost like I was like a shaggy dog, and he was like, don't say anything. Don't embarrass me in front of my friends. And I was like, oh, I don't like any of this. So I was so excited not to talk to him ever again when we got back to our apartment complex. But during COVID, I was walking. I would walk every day around the apartment complex to just kind of get out because I was stuck and sad and just inside because isolation. And then they wouldn't let me back on the base because I wasn't an essential person anymore because I was retired. So I couldn't even go exercise on the base. So I started walking and running around my apartment complex. Well, one of those times I was walking and running, I saw Flankston in the car with the super clingy weird guy that I had relations with 3 years prior named Face. Oh, and I was like, oh no, oh no, 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 no. So I desperately messaged Flankston, and I was like, Flankston, I am in love with you. I was like, you need to, like, I thought maybe, because I remember maybe like 4 months before that, I made a post on Facebook about me eating at a Mexican restaurant, and I was like there by myself. He's like, oh my God, why didn't you invite me? You know I would have went in a heartbeat, blah, 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 so jelly. I was like, oh my God, Flankston, sorry, you know? Because after Florida, that terrible panhandle road trip, like, I was still friends with him on social media, but there was no communication. But I made that post about me eating out by myself, and maybe it lit something in his head about all the Buffalo Wild Wings trips and everything else. And he was like, why didn't you invite me? I would have went with you. And I was like, I didn't go by myself because that was the only option. I just wanted to go by myself. But I saw him in the car with my ex-clingy boyfriend Face that I dated for only like a week and a half, and he was the clingiest, scariest, like obnoxious person. So when I saw, oh my God, whatever. So when I saw Flankston in the car with him, it freaked me out, and I was like, maybe if I do something crazy, it'll make him forget about like a Face. So I texted Brandon a whole bunch of stuff. I got him like flowers from 1-800-flowers.com, and I like threw myself at him desperately because I also had in my head, I was like, I'm fixing to move back to Ohio the minute TMO says I can. I was like, it's now or never. It is now or never. And I told Flankston all of this in text. I was like, it's now or never. It's now or never. Back in the day, we used to talk about how cool it would be to get like a house together. And we would, it was so cliche, like a fence. And we would have this and we would have that. And he would talk to me about how ugly Meryl Streep was. And despite that she wasn't technically beautiful, she still became a star. And he like flattered me. And I was like, thank you. And he just like knew how to like, he could be a dick all day and just say like the right thing. And he was like, I could see you doing that. And it was like Gaga doing something. And I was like, oh, just put it in my mouth. Like he just, he was toxic, but it worked. So I threw myself at him desperately because I knew I was fixing to go back to Ohio. And he was with my ex that was super clingy, scary. And I was like, this guy is not for you. It's not. I was like, if I wasn't, I was like, especially him. He is nuts. He is nuts. So ironically, I started acting nuts because I knew I was going back to Ohio. That freaked Flankston out. And he was like, oh my God. I was like, oh shit. So I didn't talk to Flankston at all. Long story short, when my Facebook got compromised because I'm gullible, I had no friends. Social media, I had none. But it had like people you may know, and I just was like, 17 years gone. So I just started click, 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 click. Please, 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 please. Well, Flankston was one of those names. And I didn't even like know that I did that until I was like scrolling on Facebook, and I was like, oh my god, Flankston got married and he became an officer. He's always wanted to be an officer. That is so cool. Good for you, Flankston. So, Flankston is happily married and he's an officer. That's so good. Good for him. I'm happy. But I just wanted to share that story because it's not a haha funny story, but also I hope my phone has enough storage space, because every time I've been trying to make videos lately, it said iPhone storage space full, and I was like, I have 50 gigabytes. That's a lot. So I didn't know about this other thing that you can do with iPhone storage space. So I've been deleting things that I've been really proud of over the last like 10 years. I mean, I'm talking about like 40 to 50 minute things of me making mini movies, podcasts that I did in the past, delete to make room for like this new stuff. Come to find out, you can pay for something called terabytes. I don't know what a terabyte is. I don't know what she's eating, and I don't know how big the bytes are, but you can get 2 of them. You have to pay more, and allegedly it holds a lot more space. So I double clicked on the side to pay for it, so I'm not going to run into this problem again, because you know me, one take, everybody knows the rules.